Nothing good ever happens at a crossroads, and we had to wait there for the bus one night. This happened back when I was about 12 years old, when my family still lived in the country, and by country, I mean backcountry. There was no electricity, and the roads were unpaved. If you're imagining that this happened before the new millennium, I'm sorry to say, that's not the case. This was in the early 2000s. Today, the roads are cemented, but there's still no power. People use solar panels for that. They have smartphones, ironically. The local government just doesn't care. That's why backwoods, backwater, backlands, backward. Anyway, I think this was also the time when my family was ready to move to the city. My older brother and I were going to high school, and the town didn't have one. I can't remember the exact purpose of this particular trip I'm going to tell you about, but I know that I was with my mom, my 8-year-old sister, and an aunt. It was dusk when we got to the crossing on foot to wait for the only transportation that would take us out of town. We could not choose the time of departure, we just had to wait there. It was in the middle of the woods, and the nearest house was about half a mile away. The sun was setting when one of the residents of this homestead, it was a big family, saw us on her way home from their farm. She was the matriarch, I think, and she was friendly enough to invite us to her house for coffee. She told us the transportation, some sort of minibus, so let's just call it that, might not arrive until dark. My aunt and mom thanked the friendly old woman but refused her offer. The bus might come at any moment and we couldn't afford to miss it. Besides, we had a lot of things we couldn't be lugging around. The most inconvenient of them were the 2 cases of empty liquor bottles from my mom's little store in town. So we stayed there at the crossing, not even the waiting bend, which was stupidly placed at a hitting bend on the road, quietly talking, eating crackers. Dark came, and not one car had passed. Perhaps we should have taken the woman up on our offer and just hidden the liquor bottles in the unused shed. Too late, though. At least we weren't hungry. But we were sleepy, my sister and I. While our mother and our aunt went on chatting in this subdued storytelling tone, my sister and I went to bed on top of our luggage, with big scarves serving as blankets. It wasn't a cold evening, but we needed protection from the bugs. At some point in the night, my mom and aunt went to sleep as well. The woods were silent. I woke up to the sound of heavy breathing coming from my right. That would be my aunt. My sister and my mom were to my left. I don't know what it was that had made me keep still under the scarf, but I did. Perhaps it was the quality of the breathing. It sounded scared. There was some sort of a whimper that came with every exhalation. Also, you can just feel the mood around you sometimes. The fear was palpable. From my left, I could feel that my sister was fast asleep. Next to her, though, my mom was whispering. I recognized the words of the rosary. She was quickly reciting the Hail Mary as though in panic. Now, I was in panic too. I kept very still and didn't look. I thought it was the beating of my heart that I was hearing, but when I focused on the sound, I realized that someone was watching us. Or something was. Those were footfalls, and they sounded strange. They were really more like hoofbeats, but the rhythm was wrong for a horse. And if it were a horse, my aunt and my mom would know, and they would not be scared like this. Time stretched on as the thing with the hooves walked around us in circles, coming closer and closer. I was covered in cold sweat. What if my sister woke up and made a sound? Now, I could hear a loud sniffing, and I could smell an unfamiliar animal stink. The thing was making odd noises as it breathed out. It was a low gurgling with random hisses, unlike any animal sound I knew. My mom was praying the rosary even faster this time. To my right, my aunt was wheezing. It was like listening to a kettle that was about to boil. The pressure was steadily increasing as the thing came even closer, circling us, sniff, sniff, sniffing. When I felt its sudden warmth above my head, I reflexively opened my eyes wide and saw a weirdly shaped tall figure in the dark of night. That was when my big aunt took a sudden deep breath and let it all out in a bellowing scream that woke my sister up and sent the thing running away in its hooves. That was definitely not a horse that had disappeared in the thick of the woods, with its hoofbeats still echoing softly in the night. No horse had only 2 legs and stood upright. Well, almost upright. Like a tall, stooped man with bulky muscles in all the wrong places. Scrambling for our flashlights, my mom pulled my sister close to comfort her. She wasn't crying, probably just confused for having been woken up so suddenly by a blood-curdling scream. Sitting upright, I felt the breeze cool my sweat-soaked skin. My aunt had stopped wheezing, but she was still panting as though she had just finished a marathon. Was it really over? Should we go to Maria's? Mom asked Aunt Norma in a tremulous voice. Maria was the woman who had offered us coffee in the afternoon. My aunt was still clearing her throat when we heard the welcome sound of an approaching vehicle. Relief washed over us. We waved our lights over our heads to make sure the bus wouldn't miss us. When it stopped in the middle of the rocky road, we hurriedly got on with our luggage and my mom asked the driver to get us out of there right away. As we were leaving, the other few passengers gasped at the sound of rocks pelting the roof of the bus. Auntie Norma was sitting near the driver and I heard her tell him to just drive on. After that night, we didn't hear of people being attacked by a horse creature in that area. Some people in town thought the thing had probably just been drawn by the smell of the empty liquor bottles and then got curious. Had it wanted to harm us? Had it even known we were there? Was it kin to the brain-sucking creature the old people in town swore lived in the forest? I don't want to find out. I'm only glad I won't go through that again. But who knows? I just might. I'm visiting Misty Woods for my Auntie Norma's funeral this weekend, and I'll surely be passing through that crossing in the woods on my way to my hometown.